The rain was merciless that night, sheets of silver slicing through the city's glittering skyline, drowning out even the hum of passing cars. Amelia Grant, the youngest self-made millionaire CEO in the state, sat in her sleek black sedan, gripping the steering wheel with frustration as her car sputtered for the third time that week. Her world had always been about control, controlling numbers, people, outcomes, but now, in the middle of nowhere, drenched and stranded, she realized there were some things even money couldn't fix. And that was the night she met him. The man who would ruin every plan she had for her future, and quietly rebuild her heart instead. The thunder rolled, and through her rain-soaked windshield, she saw him, tall, broad-shouldered, pushing a small child's bicycle under the flickering streetlight. He looked up, noticing her hazard lights blinking. Without hesitation, he jogged over, the rain darkening his worn gray hoodie. "Car trouble?" he called out. His voice was calm, grounded, the kind that could steady anyone's panic. She nodded, embarrassed. She wasn't used to asking for help, especially not from strangers. But there was something about the way he looked at her, not with recognition or awe, but simple human concern. He bent down, water dripping from his hair as he checked under the hood. "Looks like the alternator's shot. Not an easy fix tonight." Amelia sighed. "Can I call you a tow?" he offered. "Or I can take a look at it at my shop tomorrow morning. I'm a mechanic." She hesitated before saying, "That would be great, thank you." She didn't mention her last name. Didn't mention that her company's ad campaign had been plastered all over downtown just last week. She was tired of being Amelia Grant, the genius CEO. For one night, she just wanted to be a woman with a broken car and maybe a little broken herself. When he drove her home in his old pickup, the heater barely worked. But there was warmth in the small space and unspoken comfort. His daughter, maybe 6 or 7, sat sleepily in the back seat, hugging a worn teddy bear. "Sorry," he said softly, glancing at her through the rearview mirror. "Had to pick her up from school late. I'm Jake, by the way." Amelia smiled faintly. "Amelia," she replied. "No titles. No power. Just a name." And when she stepped out of that truck, she didn't know that she'd spend the next few weeks finding reasons to see him again. The next morning, she brought coffee to his small garage, a cramped space behind an old diner on the edge of town. It smelled like oil, rain, and something honest. He worked quietly, sleeves rolled up, grease smudged on his hands. She noticed how gently he handled every tool, how he looked at each task like it mattered. "You really didn't have to bring this," he said, smiling at the coffee cup. "You fixed my car," she said. "It's the least I could do." What she didn't tell him was that she hadn't smiled that genuinely in months. Days turned into weeks. Her visits became less about the car and more about the conversations, small, ordinary talks that felt extraordinary. He told her about losing his wife 2 years ago, about raising his daughter alone, about trying to keep the shop running even when bills pile high. He never complained, he just worked harder. And Amelia, who lived in a world of boardrooms and billion-dollar contracts, found herself envying that kind of strength. One rainy afternoon, she arrived at his shop without her usual coat of professionalism. No makeup. No suit. Just herself. They sat on the steps, watching the storm roll in again. "You ever feel like you're living for everyone else?" she asked. He glanced at her, wiping his hands with a rag. "Every day. But then I look at my kid and realize it's not about me anymore. It's about showing her what love and resilience look like." His words sank deep. She thought about her empire, her board meetings, her lonely penthouse. For the first time, success felt hollow. The truth came out one evening when Jake's daughter pointed at a magazine on the counter, Amelia's face smiling back from the cover. "Daddy, that's her," she squealed. Jake froze. Amelia's breath caught. The quiet man who never judged her now saw her entire world laid bare in glossy print. "You're her," he said slowly. "The CEO everyone's talking about." She nodded, unsure of what to say. He stepped back, eyes filled with something between hurt and disbelief. "Why didn't you tell me?" She tried to explain, but words failed. "Because with you, I wasn't her. I was just Amelia." There was silence, thick, painful silence. Jake nodded, then looked away. I'm just a guy who fixes cars, Amelia. You live in a world I'll never understand. And just like that, she walked away back into her world of glass towers and expensive loneliness. Weeks passed. She buried herself in work, launching new projects, signing deals, but her heart felt heavy. Every raindrop reminded her of that night, the kindness in his voice, the warmth of that old pickup. One evening, as another storm swept through the city, she found herself driving toward his shop. It was closed. The lights off. But she noticed a sign taped to the door: "Thank you to everyone who supported me. Moving to a new location next month." Her heart sank. The next morning, she tracked him down at a small community garage on the edge of a neighboring town. He was teaching a few kids how to change tires. When he saw her, surprise flickered across his face. She approached slowly, her voice trembling. "You are right," she said. "I live in a world you'll never understand. But that world means nothing without people like you in it." He wiped his hands, looking at her cautiously. "What are you doing here, Amelia?" She smiled weakly. "Trying to fix something. That's not a car this time." The air was thick with emotion. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Jake's daughter ran over and hugged Amelia's leg. "Are you coming back?" she asked innocently. Amelia knelt down, tears in her eyes. "If your dad lets me." Jake's expression softened. "You don't belong in my world," he said quietly. "Then maybe it's time I build one that fits us both," she whispered, and under the gray sky, as rain began to fall again, he reached for her hand. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy. But it was real, two worlds colliding, not to break each other, but to build something new. Months later, the city buzzed with gossip about Amelia Grant's latest project, a foundation for single parents, offering free car repairs and skill workshops. Reporters asked her what inspired it. She smiled, glancing at the man standing quietly in the back, hands folded, his daughter perched on his shoulders. "Sometimes," she said softly, "the people who fix your car end up fixing your heart." And just like that, the millionaire and the mechanic found something money could never buy: a love built not in luxury, but in rain, honesty, and second chances.